What's up, guys? This is Let's Talk Horror Movies here, bringing you guys a new movie review. Today I'm reviewing The Mummy, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, which just released today. Officially, it had its Thursday night screenings yesterday on Thursday. This stars Jack Reiner and Natalie Grace, about a family whose daughter went missing 8 years ago, and she was found alive in a sarcophagus, but upon the realization there's something going on with Katie that isn't right. So this is a movie that's been talked about for a bit when they first announced this. So this is the third Universal monster that's been coming out that is not connected, but it's doing its own thing. You got the Invisible Man, Wolfman, and now Lee Cronin's The Mummy. So this was a very interesting choice to go in terms of, because we just got a Mummy. Well, to be fair, the 2017 Mummy was about 9 years ago, so it's been a bit of time. But the Mummy has been kind of outside of the Brendan Fraser ones. We had three Brendan Fraser ones. We're going to get a fourth one in 2028. So this was a very and again, when they tried to start the Dark Universe with the Mummy, it didn't work because they were trying to build something. So you bring in Lee Cronin, who just coming off of Evil Dead Rise, which is a hell of a ride. So he brings his style and what he brought from Evil Dead Rise into the Mummy, and it's definitely, I think this was a great time. I really did enjoy it. Now, I'll get into some of the complaints. I will admit that this does have I won't say this is a complaint, but I'll say there are definitely similarities to Evil Dead and to The Exorcist. Particularly more, I think, with Evil Dead, tonally, and the way it's shot, and the practical effects and stuff like that. So it's a hard, intense, it's mean-spirited, it is gross. So it's definitely got that. I think Natalie Grace gives a really damn good performance as the Mummy, as the daughter in the Mummy character. The look of the Mummy is very different to what we're used to, in the way that they used her being bandaged up and the skin. It's very good body horror. I really like Jack Reiner as Charlie, as the father who is dealing with him and his wife are dealing with it, and in a way he really feels it the most, because of, when you watch the movie, you understand where it's like, and how the wife feels it, and then they have two other kids dealing with it in their own way, while the youngest daughter is excited to be able to meet her big sister, while the brother is still also dealing with the aftermath of what happened previous. And where you learn about what ends up happening. Again, I think this movie's already kind of gotten that mix. Now, I think this is a huge improvement from what the Tom Cruise movies try to do. The problem with the Tom Cruise movie is just tonally, it was all over the place. It did not know what it wanted to be. And I don't even hate that movie, because I do really like the Sofia Boutella as the Mummy, and I like some of the cinematography in that movie, and some of the horror elements they had in that film, what they were trying when they were doing some horror stuff. But it just doesn't work. This is trying tonally to go into a certain it's trying to be intense. It's trying to have its moments. Again, there is definitely those generic elements or stuff that you feel like is similar to what Lee did with Evil Dead Rise. But I think he really does a really good job here of doing what he wants with this Mummy. Now, and that's where you're going to have to do the how much do you really think this is a Mummy movie, because they do shoot it. It's in Egypt. It's mummification it deals with, but it doesn't. I think people want more of what the Mummy, like the original Mummy film or the Brendan Fraser films. They want something like that. But I really did like this. Okay, let's see what you can bring with that Evil Dead style to the Mummy, and I think he does a really good job here in terms of it. It is ridiculous in terms of things happen. There are choices in the film, realistically, like trying to look at this realistically, just when you're talking about a movie called The Mummy, and I just don't think we need to worry about doing realistic angle because of what this movie is. And if you can get out of that, to me, like, if you don't like the film, that's not the problem. I'm just saying, I think ultimately, I just think we need to kind of, when we're talking about a movie of a girl being abducted and is still alive and the way she looks, let's pump the brakes of being, oh, that wasn't realistic. I just want to say that. But again, if you have the problems of it feeling too similar to The Exorcist and Evil Dead, I'm not gonna argue with that, because I see it, but I still think this was a damn good time at the theater. It is messed up. Again, I think performances regard the practical effects. I think Lee does a really good job with the direction here, in the way how he shoots certain the more physical elements of the shoots. I just think this was a really damn good time. Again, the ending, I would say the ending, I feel like it was a little too fast. This movie clocked in at 2 hours 13, 2 hours 14 minutes, and never felt like that. Honestly, I felt the ending went. Now, like, thinking about the ending, I understand what they were going for in terms of, okay, we're not gonna, like, it's a messed up movie, but you're not going to end it in a way that you probably would expect. You kind of feel like this movie should probably end in a more dark, in another type of way. But I do appreciate they didn't want to go that way. But the way the ending does feel like a scene that was meant to be a post-credit scene or a mid-credit scene, but they didn't do that, which it just felt a bit weird. But understandably, thinking about it after, it's like, oh, I see what they're doing. So I do appreciate that. Even if it feels a bit rushed, or I was thinking it was going to end totally different, or it was going to end in a different way. But again, I mean, you're going through this whole shit with this family, and it's a lot. But yeah, I think ultimately, if you guys are interested, go check this one out. I think it is a blast. If you liked Evil Dead Rise, I think you'll love this. You like The Exorcist. I've heard some people comparing this to The Exorcist. Believer, was it Believer? I think this is definitely better than that. I think but I do think, again, there are issues you can again, the nitpicks and stuff. I do think the brother, I think, is not as there's something they do with the brother, and I feel like that's where I would admit, like, okay, they needed to do a better makeup. Like, he needed to look a bit worse, but because when you're just thinking of what he does in the film, but when you go, it's not trying to be Evil Dead in that sense of, like, it being all over the top kind of gore kind of stuff. But I still think when you're doing certain things, like with the son character, I feel like you should have went a little bit more. But because it's not meant to be taken that way, except for like one character, that happens. But in the end, even with the similarities to Evil Dead Rise, to The Exorcist, I still think it succeeds to be a mean-spirited ride that is just with really good performances, good practical effects. I think you can have a good time, and I would definitely do recommend this. I did do it was short, but I wanted to be able to do a video of my thoughts overall. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. This is Brandon. Let's Talk Horror Movies signing off. Peace.